I'm going to predict every athlete's max lift at this year's World Log Lift Challenge at the Giants Live World Tour Finals, which is coming up on October the 18th. I've done my full prediction video already, so make sure you go and check that one out. I did do it before they announced Luke Richardson, but it's still a great video, so be sure to go and have a look. Do you like free stuff? Do you want to begin with a chance of winning £100? Well, let me tell you, it's never been easier. All you have to do is subscribe to the channel, and when we hit 1,000 subscribers, we are going to be doing a giveaway to one lucky subscriber to win something. We don't know what yet, but something worth £100. So make sure you subscribe today so you do not miss out. On with the video. So in previous years, we've seen weight jumps, something along the lines of 170, 185, and then up to 200 kilos, then 210, 215, 220. Now, I'm not entirely sure what the weight jumps are going to be this year. However, I think they're going to do it in 10 kilo increments up to 200, and then 5 from there. Maybe 200 to 210, and then smaller from there. But Darren has said that they're going to use 2 platforms, similar, well, exactly the same as they did for the deadlift championships, so that it can run a bit smoother. He also said on that podcast that Gav Bilton will be looking to break the Welsh record by hitting 190 kilos. So if he said that, they're going to have that weight there. One thing I do know is that they're going to start with 170. They're going to have 2 platforms. And as I've already mentioned Luke Richardson in this video, I'm going to start by predicting his max lift. Now, Luke's best recorded lift is 185, which surprised me a bit because it's lower than I expected. But he did recently post a 180 strict press on his Instagram. I say strict press. There was a little bit of bend in the knees, so think what you will. But I'm going to predict that in this show, Luke Richardson will hit 200. I think he's good for that. He's definitely got the strength there. I don't think he's going to attempt to push it any higher given the injuries and everything. But I think if he comes in and gets a solid 200 on the board, that will be great points and a really good lift coming back from injury. Next up, let's talk about another new addition to the show, that being Ryan Bennett. Ryan's best recorded lift is 190 at the 2024 Chaos Strongest Man. And by the way, I'm getting all of these numbers from Strongman Archives. Go on there, type the name in, go on the PR section, and you can see it on there. And sometimes it might look a little low, so I do check events that they've done recently to see if it's not been updated yet. But Ryan's is 190. Of course, I'm checking Instagram and YouTube as well to see what they're posting on there. And 2 days ago, or maybe 3 days ago now, he posted a 180 and a 190. The 180 looked well within himself, but the 190, he struggled quite a lot. Now, he says himself that he misgrooved it, he didn't use triple extension, which is completely fair. I can understand that if you don't nail it properly, it might not go at all, and it's going to be a proper fight. So given the fact that he still hit 190, even with the misgrooved rep, I'm going to predict that he will hit 190 in the competition. I think he'll hit 190, he'll go for 200 and fail it. I don't like or enjoy to predict athletes failing lifts, but it's a prediction. I've got to give my honest opinion, and it gives them the opportunity to prove me wrong. Not that they care, I'm sure, but I care. I want to be proven wrong. I want to see all of the athletes go in and do the best lift that they possibly can. If I predict every single athlete does worse than they actually do, then that's a win for me anyway. Tom Stoltman next, who is only doing the log press and not the full show. Now, Tom's log press overhead in general tends to be underrated a lot because of Luke years ago, and people just haven't really caught up with the times, you can say. But his best recorded lift is 205 kilograms, I want to say, and his overhead is just, to be honest, it's been better than Luke's in recent years. Now, Tom is coming back from a bicep injury that he sustained at the Strongest Man on Earth, but at the Strongest Man on Earth, he hit 205, and that was when the bicep injury was in full effect, you could say. Now, he's not posted a log for a little while. I seem to remember a week or 2 ago, he posted it on his story. I think it was a 180 push press. I could be getting confused, but he has done 170 for 3 on the axle out of the rack and a 180 single on the axle floor to overhead. Now, axle puts a lot of strain on the biceps, or can put a lot of strain on the biceps, and he made the clean look easy. He made the press look easy. So It doesn't necessarily translate over perfectly, but I'm going to say that he is basically at full strength when it comes to overhead pressing. Now, I think I said his best recorded lift was 205, but it's actually 210, and I'm going to back him to match his best ever lift. So Tom Stoltman, 210 kilos. Up next, we have the Polish Terminator, Mateusz Kieliszkowski. Now, Mateusz is one of those athletes who thinks it's cool to post videos on their Instagram, but not let us know what weight it is. Joking aside, although it is frustrating, he has a best recorded lift of 214 kilograms, which was all the way back in 2019. Now, I don't personally think he's going to be at that level right now, but he's still got a very good overhead. He's working with Lawrence Charlet now, which is great. I think Lawrence is a very, very good coach and knows how to get the best out of his athletes. So although I don't think he's quite at 214, I still think he's going to get a good lift, and I'm going to back Mateusz to hit 200, and I think he'll call it there. I don't even think he'll attempt to go heavier than that. I think he'll hit 200, relatively comfortable, sort of RP 8 or 9, and move on to the rest of the show where the events are extremely good for him. The other Stoltman brother, Luke, is next on my list. Now, Luke Stoltman holds the British log press world record, the British log press record at 221 kg. And I believe he wants to push that record higher. For a period of time, he looked like the next in line for the world record. He looked like he would be the man to press 230 kilos above his head before, obviously, Iron Bibi went on to do it. Again, Luke is holding his cards close to his chest. He's not sharing much on social media, unfortunately. He did post a 200 Viper press a little while ago. There's a few 180 singles on there as well, but there's nothing on the YouTube, nothing right at the top. I feel like there's certain lifts that they're holding back and not putting out there, which is annoying. I just think, put your lifts out there, let everybody see it, and then turn up and do it at the show as well. I have said in previous videos that I don't think Luke is quite at the level that he was when he pressed the British record all those years ago. So I'm going to stick to my guns and say that Luke will hit 215, assuming that that is a jump that's there. I think he's good for 215. I think he's good for 217 and a half. 220 is maybe there, but I don't quite think that 222 or 225, if that's the jump, is quite there for Luke. So I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going to say he hits 215. Again, as I've said before, I'd love to be proven wrong. As a fan, I want to see him and Jack Osborne, who we're going to talk about later in this list, battling it out for that British record and maybe pushing for the world record. The man who I've already mentioned in this video then is Gavin Bilton, who is coming to try and break the Welsh record, which he set about 2 weeks ago, I think it was, at the Wales Strongest Man of 187 kg. And Gav seems to be in pretty good form recently. I think he's got a new coach. He's working a lot on his conditioning, and I think he'll hit 190. I think on his day he has 200. He's a good presser, but I don't think he's going to be there on the day. I think he hits 190, goes for 200 and fails it, and walks off with another Welsh record, which again is a great lift for Gav. Moving on to the UK Strongest Man, Andy the Flying Flynn. Flynn Fly, I'm sure his Instagram name is. Now, I can't find a max recorded lift, so I'm purely going off things that he's done in competitions recently and the stuff that he's posted on Instagram. I know at England's Strongest Man, he did a 150 log for 6 reps, which is a lot of reps on that sort of weight. I can't find videos of him going over 160 in training. I'm sure there's some out there, but there's definitely more in the tank than 160, I'll say that. Now, his pressing style, though, is very explosive. It's one of those styles where he either gets it and makes it look relatively comfortable, or he doesn't get it at all. There's a lot of power, not a lot of grinding out strength, if you know what I mean. There's certain log presses you'll watch, and they will just push, and they'll just keep pushing. It could be slow, but they're going to get it. Whereas with his sort of technique, if he gets that explosive power and he hits it and nails it, he'll get the lift. If not, he'll fail the lift. For me then, I think Andy will be successful at the 170, which is the opening weight. I think he'll go for the 180, and unfortunately, I'm going to say that he misses the 180. Moving on, we have Andre Foitu, and to be honest, I don't really need to spend a lot of time talking about him. He is the junior world record holder at 210. I think I've said previously it was 215, but I was wrong. He recently posted 220 on his Instagram. The clean looked really difficult, and I know he's had issues with the clean before, but once he got it to the chest, the press was just, the press was ridiculously easy. I'm going to back Andre Foytu. If there's a 215 and a 220, I think he'd go from 210 to 220, but he might go 200 to 215 and then maybe try and go like 225. I don't know, but I'm going to back him. I'm going to back him to hit 220. I think he's got the power to hit 225, maybe closer to 230. I just think the amount of energy that he'll use on the clean, he won't have enough left for the press. But I'm going to back him to hit 220. Evan Singleton's grandma is our next athlete, also known as Evan's Nana. His recorded max is 170 from 2 years ago, but he was close to hitting 180 at the end of a 5-log ladder back in July in Italy, Strongman Champions League Italy. I think it went 100, 120, 140, 160, 180. So you've got to think that his actual max is above 170. The problem, it's not a problem, but the issue, I suppose, with trying to predict Evan's lift is he doesn't train a lot. He just competes all the time. I know this is something that Lawrence Charlet has said to him because he coaches him. He talks about it quite regularly, that he wants Evans to be more selective with the competitions that he does because he believes he has potential to be a World's Strongest Man finalist, to get into these bigger competitions. He just needs to rein the competitions back, focus on getting some more solid foundations laid, and then push on and become the athlete that he believes he can be. With all that being said, I'm going to say that Evans hits 180. I think he's definitely got that there. I think he attempts 190, but unfortunately, I think he fails it. Our first of the 2 Canadian representatives is Maxime Boudreau. Now, back in 2024 at North America's Strongest Man, Maxime hit 206, I believe it was, on the log press, max log press. Max's overhead press is always very good. He's one of these athletes that can grind out a lift as well. As I was saying earlier in terms of Andy Flynn, Maxime can do that. However, it all depends on what Maxime turns up. If he's injury-free, healthy, feeling in good shape, then I believe he's good for 200. If not, then we saw it 2025 North Americas. I think he hit 170. I think he might have withdrawn after that event. So it does depend what Maxime turns up. But I'm going to back him. I'm going to say that Maxime Boudreau gets 200 on the log press. From one Canadian to another, let's talk about James Jeffers, whose best recorded lift is 400 pounds, which is 180 kilos, around that mark, 181, I believe it is. He hit that at North Americas, which was a competition PB, and I expect to see him around that sort of weight again. I will admit, and this goes for the next athlete I'm going to talk about, Tim Buck, the log that they used at North Americas, I don't know if it's the same every year, but the log that they used looks like a horrible log to press on. Maybe when they get their hands on the wooden log at Giants Live, they might do a little bit better than they did there. But I'm going to back James to hit 180 again. I think he will fail the 190, but I think he'll get close to it. The thing that I've seen in terms of his pressing is that he has the power. It's just that lockout mobility, it's having the mobility to lock it out at the top. It's almost going back and it just struggles to get his head through his shoulders. Unfortunately, we're not all blessed with freakishly good mobility like Tom Stoltman. Most people will struggle getting their head through at the top, especially when you are, a bigger guy, very muscle bound, especially your back and your chest and your shoulders in general. You're going to struggle to have the mobility and then the stability to lock it out at the top. However, there is a potential there for him to hit 190. Again, hopefully he proves me wrong. I don't know if he will, but I'm going to say that 180 is there and he attempts 190 and just fails it. So like I've already said, then we're going to talk about Tim Buck, and it's pretty much the same story. I think he's got the power there. I think he's got the potential to hit 200. He hit 190 at North Americas. So he is essentially, everything I said about James Jeffers is the same for Tim Buck. Not necessarily the mobility and locking out, but in terms of he's hit 190, I think he can hit 200, but I think he's going to hit the 190 again and fail at the 200. I mean, if both of these can hit 10 kilos more than they did, a couple of months ago, then that is incredibly impressive, and hats off to you, gentlemen. Okay, 3 more athletes to go. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it to all your friends and family as well, because we're building a community. We're like the Swifties, but I don't have a name for it yet. So the penultimate athlete is Ola Piek. I don't know why I gave myself such a tongue twister before that name. Christ. This guy's a monster when it comes to the log press. He recently hit 205 at I think it was the official Strongman Games World Record Breakers, and he wasn't that far off a 220 log. I mean, he got it to the chest, he started to press it, but he just didn't quite have the power there. I believe coming into this show, he's going to beat 205. I don't know if I assume he jumped from 205 straight up to 220. I think it'd be better to go 200, 210, maybe then 215. So at least he gets that 210, which I'm assuming would be a competition PB for him. He's extremely strong. His log press is extremely good, but this is his first time on this stage. I think they're doing it in a different arena this time, aren't they? I think they did it at Birmingham last time. But when they do the log press, you see Luke Stoneman always wears the shades, the sunglasses, and the reason is because of the light shining down on him from above. As soon as that log goes past your face, and then bang, you got that bright light in your eyes, you go so off balance. And that might be something that the athletes who have never competed on this stage will have to contend with and might struggle with. I'm not saying they will. I'm not saying it's a certainty, but I know it's been a complaint from a lot of the athletes for quite a few years now. If you're brand new on this stage, I just think all of these things, even if they're small things to the people watching, they might not really understand it. To the athlete, it can really throw them off. But anyway, enough of me rambling. I'm going to back him to hit 210. I think he has a potential to hit 215, but with all the factors involved that I've already mentioned, I'm going to say he gets 210. Jack Osborne is probably the most exciting athlete on this whole list. In my opinion, he is the closest out of anybody here to taking the world record, the outright world record. I would say I'm 70% confident he's going to break the British log record, whether they go for 222 or they go for 225, because it currently sits at 221. I'm 70% confident that he will hit that. I'm 100% confident he can hit that, but again, it's in a competition environment. If it doesn't go right on the day, it might not happen. However, Jack Osborne on the log is a phenom, and I truly believe he is going to break the British log press record. So my prediction for him is that he will do whatever it takes to break the British record. I think it will be 225. I'm hoping it is. I'm hoping they don't go 222 because I want to see it broken by a decent amount. But if it's 222, it's 222. If it's 225, it's 225. I'm going to say 225. And if he's feeling good, let's say he hits I don't know. Let's say they go 222. So I know, I'm sorry, all these numbers. Let's say he goes 200, 215, 222. If 222 moves as he probably expects it could, does he then go for the world record, which I believe currently sits at 231? Or it might be 232 now. No, I think it's 231. Does he go for the world record? I think he attempts it. If it's me and I'm in that position, you don't know what's going to happen in the next year. You might sustain an injury or something like that. It could be your only opportunity to go for this world record. If you hit that British record and it moves as well as you hope it moves, you've got to go for the world record. And I would love to see him attempt it, at least attempt it. But I'm going to stick with my answer, 225 or 222 for Jack Osborne. Last but not least is Callum Crozier, and honestly, I can't find a personal record for him anywhere. He doesn't post much on Instagram. I can't find a log press video. The only log press video that I found was from 2022, and it might have been under 105s. It was like part of a medley 145 for reps. So I honestly have no idea. I'm going to assume he hits the 170. I'm going to back him to hit 180, but it doesn't really matter because if I'm right, it means nothing, and if I'm wrong, it means nothing because I don't have any idea. It's just a guess. I hope that he comes in, gets the opening lift, and gets the 180 because that's what I've predicted. And that is all the athletes, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Something a little bit different, obviously taken from Big Loz's channel when they did it for the Deadlift Championship. So thank you to Laurent Charlet and Auntie Liz, of course. They might do a video like it as well. If they do, make sure to check theirs out. Make sure to check out my other videos. And apart from that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.